Hey everybody, it's Heather here on Hum Days with Heather on the Talking Pools podcast. As always, I think you're having an amazing day. So it's Wednesday, right? We're halfway through the work week. Whoop, whoop. I am super excited for that. This week has just been kind of insane, for us in general, and I'm ready for it to be over. But the weather here has been crazy. It goes from super cold to super hot. It's going to be like 99 this weekend and it was like a high of upper 70s 2 days ago. So I am sorry about that. So I am super excited on the weather and how it is. I just put all my stuff in do not disturb. And how it's going to be this weekend. Well, let's just kind of jump right in it. So this week I want to talk about listening skills needed for leadership to do a positive impact. So part of, the business side is you definitely want to understand your employees, understand your subcontractors because you want to have that positive impact with them. Cuz what happens if you're not listening accurately and you're just kind of sort of engaging with them but not fully listening, we're going to have issues, right? So, the first one that's going to be is we're in renovations, right? So, retention versus actually hearing it, two different things. A lot of people get this confused on whether you think you're listening and you're actually retaining it versus you're actually hearing it, right? What we actually retain is only about 17 to 20% of what we actually hear. I know me as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, I retain probably about 10%, maybe 15. Um 17 for me, I think is kind of pushing it. But hubby will tell me something and I'm like, "Yeah, I hear you, da da da," and I don't retain it. I hear him, but I'm not retaining that. And the same goes for our employees and our subcontractors. We're all so damn busy that where we're listening and we're talking, the retaining of that information is not happening. So that can cause a major issue whenever somebody's trying to talk with you, of course, for that. Um because verbal hearing is your brain subconscious doesn't always get it, right? That's where that retention comes in. Because if your subconscious is not calculating and firing on all neurons, right? As I like to say, that's what kind of happens. So, whenever you hear what you think you hear and you're not sure, you always want to ask, "Hey, I'm thinking I'm hearing that, but I'm not sure. So let me play this back with you." Like I will give you an example. We had a client, or excuse me, not a client, but an employee that was unhappy with his manager, like my GM at the time. And he's like, "Hey, Heather, we need to have a conversation because I'm not happy with what my manager is treating me in the way that this is going." So we had a conversation about it. Well, I heard him, but did I actually retain it to be able to go back to the manager that we hired and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on." I did not go well because I had to go back and I'm like, "Oh shit, what exactly did he tell me?" Like I'm hearing the problems, but I'm not retaining it, right? So taking down notes, going back and making sure you're 100% for sure with what you think that you're hearing is very good. So, how do we hear with what's not being said? Because that's huge. I know that's huge for me because I am not a detailed person. So, I'm thinking something and it's more so along the lines of what's not being said. Hubby is not a direct person. And when it comes to that, I have to really like, okay, hub, this is what I'm hearing. Is this correct? Kind of deal. Sorry, that's my doggy. Cujo, hush it. Hush it. Love my doggy. It's actually Steven's dog, but he's on vacay. But anyways, so we actually have to work harder to acknowledge that you're not hearing what you're trying to retain and practice it. You've got to practice it. So I had a hard time with my employees being able to hear, retain, and practice it. It comes with I guess it doesn't really come with life skills because nobody teaches this stuff. You don't get taught it in high school. You don't get taught it in college, you don't get taught it by your parents most of the time. So it's as you grow older and you become more aware of it, that's where you're going to actually start to retain that stuff and be more self aware of that. So you want to work harder and acknowledge that to be able to help that. So most people understand first and then retain second. I am definitely that one. I understand what you're saying, but again, I'm not retaining it. Like, the employee with situation that had an issue with my manager, I understood it, but I didn't retain it when I had to go back and reprimand my manager and have a conversation with them to be like, okay, I get that, but shit, I forgot it because I didn't retain it. Right. So as the individual, you need to be self aware of that to help practice that. You listen to understand, and then you understand to retain. So listen, understand, and then retain step by step. It takes a lot to understand. Even to this day, I struggle with that, right? Especially when I'm trying to understand clients. Like the one that I'm dealing with the stone. I'm listening and I'm trying to understand, but I'm not retaining why they can't understand what I'm trying to deliver their message to about this stone. So that still is that leadership and that positive impact, right? I still have to be that leadership for that client and give them a positive impact so they understand and they retain it. So I have to change the way that I'm communicating with them. That way they can do the retention that they need themselves. Because again, remember that retention only happens about 17 to 20% for, most humans from what I've, learned when I started learning this a long time ago. Okay, so emotions, when you get emotional, you stop listening and then it affects how you listen. 100% that is me. I will fly off the handle quicker than anything. If I have an upset client, I don't really do it for my employees because my employees understand, the business aspect of it for that side. But my clients, and this is where the disc profiling comes in. I am not the perfect person to deal with pissed off clients, but my emotion will definitely stop me from listening and my emotion kicks in and I just bat something out that's out of my mouth that I know I'm probably going to regret later. So I will probably sit here and be like, I'm sorry, that was an emotional response. That wasn't a good listening and it wasn't a positive impact for our conversation. So let's kind of take it back a bit. Let me cool off and I'll come back with you. I have had to do that more than once with my customers because you have to understand that clients understand that you're human and you get emotional and this process of like building and remodeling and everything is a long drawn out person, right? So don't take what they're saying at heart. Don't make it affect your entire business life. Don't make it affect your entire personal life. Try not to take it home. So you want to kind of keep those emotions in check to be able to have that positive impact and understand that, hey, when you're emotional, you're not going to retain it. So therefore you can't have that positive impact for that leadership for that client. Logic and emotional is part of the brain, right? So there's two main sides. You got your logic side, you got your emotion side. I am more on my emotion side when I'm pissed. And my logic side is more when I'm like on key, give me issues to fix. Let me just fix them. This is what happens whenever I fix them. Not everybody thinks the same, like Chris is definitely more logic than emotional. So that's why it fits perfect for us. So he deals with the pissed off clients. Cassandra deals with the pissed off client because I am not that way, right? So again, the disc profiling to put the right people in the right place that I talked about on my other podcast to be able to have that positive impact, to be able to understand and listen to your clients. So another thing is only about 2% of people have actually listening training. I am definitely not one of them, but I have made it aware and I have read some books on it once I started getting into business to understand, okay, well, why am I losing sales? Why is this client not happy with me? What could I have done differently in that situation? And when I started asking these clients, because I do my own research, like I don't care if I'm mad at you, I'm still going to find out why it went south. What as a customer did it take for you to get pissed off with me and what happened that I got pissed off with you? And 90% of the time, it was the listening and how we dealt with those pissed off customers. Because I did a whole nother episode on how to deal with pissed off customers. And that's where that came from. You want to make sure that you are having a positive impact on your leadership, whether it be your employees or your customer, and understanding what happened in that situation to be able to work on that situation. So, another thing I think that as well is your empathy versus listening. I am not a very empathetic person. I don't have the empathy side of me. I never really did. Hubby gets kind of mad at me because it comes out in my business and it comes out on my as a mom and as a wife. I just I don't know. I guess it just kind of beat out of me at a young age because my dad was super hard on me. He didn't show me empathy. He like kicked my ass into gear and be like, "Okay, so you broke your arm. I don't care. Still go do the job, you know?" Like I walked into my foot doctor when I broke my foot on a customer's job, and I'm not shitting you. I was running because I was late and I stepped in a hole that was really big. Well, I ran into a hole and snapped my foot bone in 2 spots, in 2 spots. I fell to the ground. I didn't cry because I'm not a crier. I was so proud of myself because it hurt like a mofo. And the client's like, "Are you okay? Oh my God, you know, da da da." So he's like, "What do I do?" I'm like, I'm fine. Just give me a second. Let me get up." So I'm running to my car. I get up. I call my husband. I'm like, "You got to come get me because I broke my right foot. I can't drive because that's my gas. That's my brake. I tried to do it with my left. It was not happening." So I just waited about 10 minutes because hubby was nowhere around, you know. So that empathy was there for that client for me, but I was like, whatever. Um, but I went to the doctor and the doctor was like, "How are you walking?" Because I just walked right into the doctor like the next day. I didn't even go the same day. And he's like, "You broke your foot in 2 spots." So I was in a boot for 6 months. I'm like, um, I don't know. What do I do to fix it? He's like, "First off, don't be walking on it because you shouldn't be. And you should be in a lot of pain right now." But that empathy comes in with a lot of people where it doesn't for me, right? So you have to understand the difference between the empathy and then the listening side of it because it's totally different. You have to listen, and that's what makes you feel the empathy. So that's kind of why I told you that story is because that customer listened to me as to what was wrong as far as me breaking my foot. So he had empathy for me where I don't have that. So, just a little tidbit. That's where I'm at with this episode for the leadership of positive impact. So, just hopefully that helps you just understand talking to your employees, talking to your business partners, talking to your wives, your spouse, your husbands, your kids, your clients, your manufacturers reps, whatever it may be. Try to be a positive impact in that communication. They're all under a lot of stress right now, as everybody is. And everybody's changing from the COVID stuff because COVID is now over. So everybody, I guess, is trying to be assholes. That's what I'm dealing with. So just have that empathy, have that communication, have that positive impact, and especially in your leadership because your employees, your contractors, they feed off of the leadership. And if that leadership isn't there, it's not going to be a positive impact. Well, I'm going to keep it at 15 minutes if I can. So have an amazing week. Until next week, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.